Hello, everybody, and a really warm welcome to another courageous conversation. My name is Pollyanna, and I look after community engagement for TreeSisters. And I'm really excited today to be speaking with Samiel Carolina, who you have probably seen hosting Courageous Conversations. And today is her turn in the hot seat. And we're interviewing and speaking with Samiel today as part of our campaign that we've just started, Calling All Women, and we're having some very special Courageous Conversation guests as part of the campaign. And before I go into a conversation with Samiel, I just want to share with you a little about her. So Samiel helps women access their innate gifts to enable them to thrive, love openly, and to come back to a place of peace, clarity, and creativity. She believes the most important thing a woman will ever create is herself. She says, "I am a new earth soul alchemist, an evolutionary creatrix, author, and speaker. I'm a glowing woman." I love that bit. "I'm committed to carry and transmit my light into the world by being and expressing all that I am, fulfilling the task I am born with, to assist in restoring the tapestry of humanity." So a really warm welcome, Samiel, to a courageous conversation.
Thank you, Pollyanna. Yes, thank you for inviting me.
So I think it would be really lovely to begin with the question that we ask most of our Courageous Conversation guests, which is, why are you a tree sister?
Why am I a tree sister? It's my way of giving back to nature. She's my greatest teacher. Most of my work as an alchemist is based in nature's wisdom and teachings. Not only nature, but of course the animal kingdom as well. But Tree Sister representing a way of giving back and honoring, everything that I've received, not only for my work, but also, for my body, for my health, for my well-being, right? Like everything we are is thanks to her, right? And also to support, of course, Claire mission. I know Claire for a few years now personally, and to be part of this incredible circle that you have created. And I'm both a tree sister with a monthly donation and also a water carrier through my business. So very, very happy to contribute in this way and to give back. It's like really entering a cause or a tapestry that is bigger than you, right? And being part of this movement, really.
Beautiful. And I love that your alchemy is putting trees in the ground, because that's alchemical, by itself. And I'd like to come back to something you said, which is that nature is your teacher. And I'd love to unpack that a little bit, like what that really means for you and what that looks like for people who may not have that experience of nature as teacher.
Yeah, wow. I feel like sharing. I'm a city girl, right? Or I was a city girl. I'm born as a city girl in Buenos Aires, in a city that is 18 million inhabitants. And but later on in my life, I encountered a shamanic path in Guatemala, where I started to remember my connection to the earth and my connection to the great goddess and the great inner alchemist that she is, the alchemist that she is, and her role in mirroring us, our own transformation, and holding the space for our own transformation that we are invited to go through at this time. And so through that path and through that remembering, at that time I was living in Switzerland, and in a much smaller city than Buenos Aires, and I felt the call to move out of the city completely and start living in villages. And so I moved out and I came back to, well, not, yeah, back, but the first time in this incarnation to live in the small villages closer to nature. And I started to spend a lot of time alone in the gardens, by the rivers, in the forests. I'm a huge lover of, outdoors, so rock climbing, camping, name it, a lot of hiking, a lot of sports and time in nature. And the more time I spent, the more I felt relaxed, at home in my body, with whom I have a very difficult relationship since very early age. And I started to gain a sense of serenity and clarity and well-being. And I started to spend time writing, making art, meditating, and started to receive like insights and messages and guidance in a very intuitive way, not doing something specific, but just being in that environment and noticing really how different I felt when I was spending time in nature. So spending time in nature became like my source of of well-being, really, and healing and resting and rejuvenation. And with time started to structure more my connection to the trees, to the water, to the skies, to the different times of the day, and to the different lights, and to the different seasons as well. As I was, on my own spiritual path, facilitating work for women and spending my time, having this new lifestyle of always going deeper and deeper into nature, because I moved from the village to a remote house in nature, and now I live on top of the mountain here in Andalusia, alone with the goats and the cats and the trees. So it was a very intuitive path. And when I started to structure and to kind of receive the teachings and a lot of guidance to what is it that I'm supposed to be doing and how I'm supposed to be facilitating my work, and what is the role that she's playing, and all the transformation that is going on her, and how that mirrors us and guide us. Being by the river and receiving a whole meditation that then I can record and facilitate. How the work or the ritual for the group has to happen to facilitate the healing or the transformation that the group is seeking. So is that making sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I have my this is the trouble with trying to do things on technology. My internet sort of bombed out in the middle there, but
I noticed.
We'll keep going and hope it's okay. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for answering that. It's pretty fascinating, your journey from, massive city down to mountaintop. That's quite amazing, really. So coming back to nature, one of the things that we're really exploring in TreeSisters is, what does feminine nature-based leadership look like? What does it mean for different women? What do we mean by feminine nature-based leadership? And I was thinking, while you were speaking about nature as teacher, whether you think that a woman's relationship with nature is different to a man's relationship with nature, and what does feminine nature-based leadership look like, if you could speak to that.
Yeah, I love this exploration that we are doing in TreeSisters, and what I live and I understand and see there is, first, that feminine based for me is more about values and than gender, right? Like So no, it's not woman or man, yeah. But feminine base for me is the embodied experience. And embodied, I know it's a word that is a lot out there, but is being in our physical body to feel and lead from what we feel, what we sense. Call it intuition, feelings, or a call, no, to something that is deeper and is life-giving. For me, feminine leadership is life-giving. It doesn't mean that it doesn't change. It doesn't mean that there is not a death part, so it can be transformed, right? Because nature will teach us death, right? But it's essentially life-giving. And I think it's in my own process, yes, and when I started to connect it with her and honor her body and all creation, all life that she creates, you know, honoring her body and all life she creates, it helped me to heal this relationship with my body, where I didn't want to feel, I didn't want to be in this body. I mean, for those who don't know my story, when I was a teenager, I went through anorexia, right? So I know very deeply myself how much we can really deny the physicality of our existence and the attachments or the repulsion that we have with everything that is material. And whatever is material or matter is the result of creation. And everything that is matter has also a soul, has also a reason for being here, a purpose for being here, right? It's like, so through loving our physicality, our body, being in our body, like really landing our visions or our purpose or our dreams in our body, and feeling, sensing in our body, that's the new leadership that I see coming, and that nature is helping us to embrace. And this is related to the mother wound. Yes, this is big part of my work. Let's see if I can make sense of this. You know, we have been cut from that process of creation, from the gestation, from the patience of the creation, for the nourishing that which is created, and we think that it comes from above, but it's also from below, from the earth, from deep in our body. And when that part of the creation process has been cut, now at this point we need to start coming back to that part of the creation, of the physical part of the creation, and the death and the rebirth of the process of creation. And on Earth, on planet Earth, on our beautiful school, we have a very bad relationship with death, right? And the rebirth. And there is a lot of fear around that. So essentially there is fear around the process of creation, yes? And so what restoring that process of creation and transformation is the feminine leadership. The feminine also destroys in order to give life again. She is in charge of, you know, ending what doesn't serve anymore and feeling deeply what serves now and committing to create that. But that is something that we need to feel in our body, yeah, and to understand how that will be connected to all creation. So all creation is nature, animals, humans, like everything, yeah, is connected. So it's not a concept anymore. It's really the embodied experience of feeling that we are part of that creation, that and each one of us are creators. Yeah. And I think that in both what I see in both in men and women, that what I was saying about the mother wound, yes, is that connection with our feelings and our capacity to sense and to feel how the earth feel and how the animals feel is related to our capacity to feel, and our capacity to feel depends in the first 7 years of our lives to our connection to our mother, in both men and women. And I see feminine leadership in men is also their capacity to feel and to lead from a place of deep feeling and deep commitment to what is good for me and is good for all life and all creation. How can I honor that? But this question in both men and women and everyone in between. This is not only for women, right? Yeah. But as women, it's like as we intuitively know and we are intuitively more connected to all life and the process of creation and the evolutionary movement, because we have a special DNA, the mitochondrial DNA that holds the information of all evolution. Then so women, we are more open to make this process and to start this process. What I witnessed so beautifully is that women then lead men safely into feel again and lead from a more feminine values. Yeah. That's how I see that's playing out. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That you covered so much in that response. There's my brain's like pinging on all these different things that I want to pick up on. But one of the things I'm really fascinated by, sort of personally and at a bigger level, is what you say about anorexia, because I also went through a journey with anorexia as a teenager. And while you were talking, I was thinking about that microcosm and macrocosm, and how anorexia is it's an assault on your own matter. When you're talking about matter, it's self-destruction, which in essence is what we're doing to the planet right now. And also at some level is about control. It totally arises in that situation where you have no control except over your own, what you're going to eat. And so it's a tool of women on the whole who have no control in their lives. And I'm really curious about that journey from self-destruction and the journey of self-destruction that we're on right now as a collective with the planet, and whether you see some relationship between the journey of recovering from anorexia and recovering from attacking our own matter, which is really what we're doing, as we are nature and we are sort of destroying the matter that we are part of. Whether you see anything to be learned from that journey, and from the microcosm to the macrocosm, can we apply that to the world and to nature?
Yes, beautiful. One of the things that I'm convinced, and the medicine women in Guatemala told me this when I started to walk with them, is that women in the Western world need to understand that the new revolution is transforming yourself so deeply that it will ripple. Like they told me, you go out back into the Western world and lead women to transform themselves. That will be more than enough. And, the wheel will continue. And the new tapestry will be restored. So certainly what we do to ourselves, we do it to the collective. That's for sure. Starving ourselves to death and starving the earth, and keep asking her to give us things and take from her without giving back, trying to control not our lives but the creative process. Yes, that's what we have learned, from businesses to relationships to educating your kid to your body weight, right? Like there is we have such a disconnection with the divine part of this existence. Yes, we think we only have feet, but we have wings as well. And the moment we still don't connect with that part that is divine, that part that is taking care of us, that part that is providing for us, we go around thinking that we have to do it alone, that we are in control, that we are in charge, that if I don't do it, no one will do it for me. Yeah. So it rings a bell, right? It's like, yeah. We are disconnected from this tapestry, and we are disconnected from our own divinity, which is not above, it's like right here inside of us. And we are having this conversation where Notre Dame has been burning, yes, the Divine Mother burning, resurrecting yesterday in Paris. And so this is the connection we need to make. It's like there is a Divine Mother that is the earth, that is this divine part of us taking care and nourishing us and providing everything. So the work that in my path, when I was 20, that then translated as the work I'm doing now for women, has been, what transformed me is first noticing that I needed to change, that I was so exhausted. Like doing everything alone and starving myself to death and not honoring my life, trying to control everything, was absolutely exhausted and so lonely. So the first thing is that we need to acknowledge, hey, it's like this is not sustainable. It's not sustainable. My life is not sustainable. How I am leading my life is not sustainable. So, I mean, how we live on earth is not sustainable, right? But so it's the same. But we need to recognize that without judgment. It's like, okay, this is what I have learned, but I need to do it differently. What do I do? And asking for help, because we don't do it alone. And there, when I was 20, I entered I worked with an amazing nutritionist back in Argentina, who first, she took me out of the box of anorexia. Yeah. So the first thing that I learned is like boxes and labels that we place ourselves into, or we let others place ourselves, are very dangerous. Because healing cannot happen within a label, within something that you think you are or that you have. If you have a symptom or a disease, like, or like a diagnosis like anorexia, it's like a huge label, very heavy, very difficult to move from those places. And then she led me into a circle of women. She was leading with a psychologist circles of meditation and to explore our relationship to food and to our relationship to our body and to our feelings. So sisterhood, when I was 20, which at that time it didn't have this name. I mean, I was just there, 20, adolescent, looking at other women having the same problems or conversations like me with their food and with their body. And I was like, oh my God, those women in my eyes were so beautiful and so radiant. And I was like, why they are not eating? So when we started to mirror each other, that my world was transformed.
That's amazing.
That's when we enter the tapestry. It's like, oh, I'm not the problem. There is nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
I don't need to fix myself. This is a part of a conditioning, a systemic, conditioning. There are, all the conversations were the same. All the narratives were very similar. So it's like, hold on a minute. What is really going on here? What is that? There is a collective wound, which in this case specifically is the mother wound. Yes, everything that has to do with the earth and food, 99% of the time has to do with our relationship to our mother. and everything that is mother for us. Divine mother, Mother Earth, biological mother, grandmothers, feminine lineage. Yeah. So, so there is something bigger than me playing out. There is a collective wound, and I am part, my experience of that has the version that has through me. But my responsibility now is to heal this, taking whatever, there are so many layers. So these are years and years and years of work, but not because I am fixing myself, but because I am opening myself to my capacity to feel, my capacity to love, my capacity to create, to claim what's my purpose. I don't need to be loyal to this wound. I just can't, be my own version here.
Yeah.
But it takes years, huh? I mean, for me, it's like an ongoing process, and I was like, yeah. But what is, it's like, it's not fixing. It's just like partnering with that wound, with those, and just, that's the alchemy. Yeah.
I think there's something really fascinating in what you're saying in terms of our relationship to the planet, because when you're talking about the anorexia and realizing, there's nothing wrong with me and I'm not the problem, I'm thinking about there's a sort of pervasive defeatism in the world around us being human beings, and that it's human beings that have ruined the planet and we're the problem. It's that same thing of I'm the problem. And for me, I wrestle every day with choices I'm making in my life. Is this harming the earth, or is this is this in reciprocity, like all of that? And it's actually impossible to live in Western culture without damaging the earth. And I feel some really strong sense of liberation listening to you talk, if I look at it from that other perspective of, I'm not going to sit in judgment and say, we're human beings are the problem, but we could actually just say, okay, so this is no longer sustainable, in the same way that starving yourself to death is no longer sustainable. And I'm not the problem, but I can be part of a different way of moving forward that is coming from my creativity and my fullness and my overflow and what I have to give. And I think that that's a very different way of looking at the problems in the world. And I wonder if you want to speak to that a little bit more.
Yeah, that's a very, 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 very good reflection, Poliana. Thank you. I do believe that, all the messages around change and transformation that has to happen, or that is already happening in the world, that make us feel guilty or shame, or position ourselves, or position us in as a like, everything that installs guilt and shame in the way you are living, it's old. That's not part of the solution, and that's not really empowering. So anything that is dogmatic, that installs again guilt or shame, we need to be very careful with those messages. And I do believe that what the grandmothers in Guatemala gave me, that medicine, that that we are creators, that we are part of the solution. Yes, we created the problem because our ignorance, because we couldn't feel, because we were like clouded with values and with messages that now we know. But we know intellectually. But here's the thing: we know intellectually how we need to live, but we need to feel it now in order to live the change. That is what the Divine Mother is asking us to do, to open ourselves to love and to feel. So we can claim, hey, I'm part of the solution now. Of course, we always explore this. There are many gray areas. Plastic is everywhere. I mean, like, we can go crazy trying to, but you can see my car parked there, right? So I have to ask, for forgiveness to the earth every time I go around with my car, right? It's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Or when I take a plane, or but we still live on Earth. So it really depends on our intention and how, you know, the frequency we carry in everything we do, and how we relate not only with the Earth, but with other humans and with the animals. Like everything matters. Everything matters, right? I think the most empowering part of this is like choosing to feel, choosing to honor life in every way we can. Doesn't mean that problems will, you know, go away and and I will not have any more, you know, emotional roller coasters or whatever. But, you know, it's like we are doing the best we can, and not feeling guilt and shame, because guilt and shame place us as victims again. It's like, oh my God, you know, it's like, I cannot find a solution, so I will keep doing what I've been doing. Or, you know, feeling responsible for the problem, but instead of feeling responsible for the solution. Like, so from victim, can we shift to creators? Can we take a deeper look at what are the, you know, things that we can shift? What are the choices, what we can make differently? And everything has an impact, like everything, from small to big.
Yeah. It's making me think about one of the core messages of the Calling All Women campaign, because we're aiming to call in 10,000 more women into the Tree Sisters network and double our tree planting impact, and so that we can restore the earth together. And I loved what you said before about the anorexia, about how you went to see the nutritionist and she brought you into sisterhood with these other women, and that ends the isolation, and how powerful it is to be with other women. And it also touches on this thing that restoration of the earth is about love and care and reverence. And for me personally, when I step into those things, when I shift my awareness into my love for the earth and into reverence and into deep care, then the way that I am with my life is different. You know, there's a gentleness, there's a gentleness to me, there's less stress, there's more awareness of the trees around me, and the birds that are there, and the butterflies that go past, and there's this sense of, you know, flow between me and the environment around me, some kind of exchange taking place, which when I'm in guilty and feeling ashamed, I don't even see those things. They're not even in my field. So I think what you're saying is very powerful, that making that shift from victim to creator, it changes everything, including and especially our own experience of being alive. So it's really powerful, really powerful stuff.
No, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I love what you're saying, you know, the gentleness and the care. And I will, in my experience, what shifted a lot from one lifestyle to the other, and the connection back to earth, is the rhythm. Yes, and a time where, you know, we know that the linear time, first, is a construction of the mind. Second, you know, it's a very old way of being here, and especially as women, you know, and being with other women, and honoring the rhythm of the earth, the seasons, the rhythm of the creative process. That, for our nervous system, it is just so essential. Our nervous system is everything. It's the source of our well-being, our clarity, our abundance, our pleasure, our orgasm. Like, everything goes through the nervous system, right? And so restoring that natural rhythm of creation, of the season, of our menstrual cycle, or life-giving cycles, yes, because it's not only the menstrual, but then, you know, the menopause. And this is one of the things that they, for me, the new leadership is this, you know, is that understanding the rhythm of things and creation, and the rhythm of our relationships, yes, with other people. I don't know, everything has a completely, really is a powerful paradigm shift that, you know, it's really at hand.
Yeah, yeah. I could talk about this. I could continue on with this for hours, I'm sure, but I'm just a little conscious of the time. So,
Yeah.
um, I think we'll wrap up after one more question. So, if there was some message that you would like to give to women, to call them into Tree Sisters, to join with this movement that we're creating for restoration, what would that be?
My message would be that you remember that you are born with a dream and with a purpose that is bigger than you, and that beautiful sacred task is to embrace it and to give it life while you're here. And Tree Sisters can support you on that journey of remembering and creating and manifesting that dream.
Beautiful. I can feel the potency of that. So thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for being here and talking to me about all these incredible things. And for if you're watching and you would love to come and join us as part of this campaign and stand with us for restoration through love and care and reverence, please do go to www.callingallwomen.me, which is ME, and stand with us. We'd really love to have you with us. So thank you so much again, Samiel, and hopefully we'll see you in a courageous conversation soon.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pollyanna, for having me. And everyone, see you soon.
Bye-bye.